Today, our main agenda is to take a look at this self-assessment. And
Yeah.
because in the end of last year in the report, we made some observations about ways the tool might be strengthened, and that's sort of the focus. But then I figured we better also take time to look ahead because we have a bunch of meetings that we are, work that has to be done on a tight schedule. So I think we
Right.
want to like lock in those times when we need to work either individually or when we need to work together. So I thought we should take a look at the calendar.
Yeah,
And those are the
perfect.
two main things. Anything else you think we should be tackling at this point?
No, I think those are both really good things. So they definitely need to be done.
Okay. I feel like this is so funny to see this painting in the background behind me. I feel like I'm at a museum or something, but
It's really nice painting.
it's a painting from my husband's mother's home.
Really?
Yeah.
It's
It's,
beautiful. It does
it's
look like it belongs
very
in a museum.
interesting.
It's really impressive.
It's a very interesting piece. We've uh, commented on it for years. Let me see if I can lean over. There's this guy up here in the corner
Oh
who's
yeah.
like he's pointing at like the viewer, and it's like, what is he? We've always puzzled over what is he doing in that
What is
painting?
he
Like,
doing?
who is that person, and what's the story there? Because there's
That's an
something
excellent question because he
happening
really is. He's
here.
almost like hidden in the background.
Yeah, it's a funny little
Yeah.
piece. I feel like I'd like to find somebody who knows. There's probably, you probably can find that in a certain genre of painting or something
Right.
or something. I don't know what, but I don't know what it means. So it's
That is
always
a really
great,
neat picture.
yeah, for
That's unbelievable.
old school paintings. But okay, it's so funny because our daughter is a contemporary artist, and so it's like the opposite end of the spectrum.
It really is.
Okay, so did you have a chance to look through this? Well, first, let's actually start with just revisiting let me see if I can pull it up. Where is it? Um, I think I'm going to share my screen here for a sec. Oops, sorry. Whoop, wrong thing. Where am I? Uh-oh, Christy, we need you she can't hear me.
Oh yeah, we have to text her. Do you want me to text her or
I got
you
her.
got it? You're on it.
She's used to me. I usually ask this ahead of time and I forgot. Whoops, no, where am I? We probably could be faster at this actually. The
Yesterday, I was in a subcommittee meeting for it's for Jeff's goal um, for community involvement.
Yeah.
And our internet, all of a sudden, probably 10 minutes before, just decided it was done for the day. I've never had it before. As a matter of fact, my daughter was texting me to tell me what's going on with the internet. And I was trying to get on. So I ended up emailing through my phone, Jeff and Christy, and said, I'm trying to get on. If I can't, I'll go on my phone. So eventually I got on, but then I was on for a good like 10, 15 minutes and then just kept kicking me off. So I had to go and sit on my cell phone. We're on the perimeter of a dead zone. So there's one
Great.
place in my house where I can get cell reception when we don't have Wi-Fi. And it's literally when you first walk in my house, it's like a round rug at the bottom of our staircase. So I was sitting on the stairs, hoping that the cellular didn't go out. I was like, wow, first world problems over here. And in my head, I'm thinking, if I get in my car and drive somewhere, well, if I go down the hill towards
That's so
Davide, I'm gonna lose them. And if I go the other way, I'm gonna lose them. I'm gonna have to lose them for a while before I can get them. It was like a whole
yeah. It's a whole nother level of problem solving. But it feels like we're not very far at all from the old ads, what feel like old ads to me now, where Verizon's always, can you hear me now? Can you hear
Yes,
me
that's
now?
exactly
Like
it. Oh my
we're
goodness.
still doing
It's
that.
like we've come so far, yet we're so
Yeah.
so I'm glad that it's working today. It's nice to see that it's cooperating. I should knock on wood just in
Yeah.
case. So.
I had to move in a policy meeting. I'm not getting Christy's response yet. Christy, hello, Christy.
I wonder if she's on the phone.
On policy meeting yesterday, and I had to get up and move at the beginning because my reception was bad where I was at this part of the house. And I have a desk, but when we updated our house, the desk is now at the far end over the garage. And the reason that's those far ends of the house are terrible for reception. So I don't have a desk. So I'm constantly moving around for these webinar things. I just have to resolve and get my desks. I have to get Wi-Fi set up there, specifically in that corner, so I
I
can
have
just
the same
one
problem
place.
as you. The house is long.
Yeah,
So like
yeah.
we can get, there's certain places where the Wi-Fi is great. We have all these extenders, but they don't work like as if you're really, and when we built an in-law apartment underneath, because this was a foreclosure that we bought, and the whole back is exposed. And then there's like this big back part where they were going to put a pool in. That's like a
Yeah.
living room, dining room, kitchen now. But long story long, I had to move my Wi-Fi down lower so they could get Wi-Fi. So now it's like, who knows? We don't even know where we are. We just keep moving the computer.
Yeah, it's very frustrating. All right,
Really.
so instead of putting this on the screen, although I do feel like we do need the screen at some point here, so I hope that
I have mine open in front of me.
well, I was just going to read the evaluation report
Oh, yeah,
piece
I see.
that's relevant to just get us tuned into what initiated this. So after analyzing the survey results, we reflected on the survey itself, since our committee was using a new survey tool. Overall, the survey seems to have elevated clear areas of strength and need for school committee consideration. Sometimes, however, we wondered if some of the survey items might need to be refined for next use. In one case, for example, we were surprised that given expressed concern at the start of 2019-20 school year and relatively little activity in this area during the year, the committee expressed little concern in this survey about its performance with budget and finance. That led us to question whether the committee was not as concerned at this point in time, or whether the survey may not have asked all the right questions. So that flags sort of, we should look at
Yeah,
budget questions in
I
particular.
actually printed this out. I'm kind of excited to be prepared.
We wondered, for instance, whether the survey should include items that more directly target the committee's active role in understanding, influencing, or accepting the budget. Another example arose when reviewing the personnel survey items. We noticed that a number of the personnel items reflected more on the performance or contribution of district staff than the role and influence of the committee itself. We wondered if the wording of some items should be refined to center more clearly on the committee's role and actions, for example, in the hiring and evaluation process. We suggest following up with MASC to share these survey questions and observations. So when I wrote to Dorothy about updating this, and should we do our own version and just make our own Berlin survey, or should we do it through them, or how would she suggest? And she said she'd be happy to make she could do either way. She could send us a copy to work on here and have our own, or she could make the revisions there for us. And she said she would be interested in doing that because she'd like to see what kind of modifications we were making, since this is a new tool for them. And it may inform their own improvements. So I think that's a good thing for us to do, that we can, I have a Word copy of this, and we can make revisions right on there and add comments about why we think that revision is good, if we have comments to make, and send that off to her. And I thought, well, we should ask for her input, because maybe there's a reason that they worded something a certain way or included a certain item that we're not privy to. So that would let us have a little bit of exchange with them about changes before we make them officially. So if we can get a little feedback, that'd be good.
Absolutely. I think it's great.
All right, I'm not going to try to share my screen. Nope, I still can't share my screen. Can you share? No, it doesn't matter. Yeah, can you share your screen?
Share screen. Nope.
I don't know how to get a hold of Christy.
I'll try emailing her. Let's see. Oh, you're the
So
host now.
what's
She's
that?
the host. It says Susan Henry is the host
All
now.
set, all
She's
set.
on
Great.
it.
Okay, good.
Good job, Christy.
All right. Thank you, Christy. Let's see if I can find the document. No, hang on.
It's so funny, Susan, while you're looking for that, I was, this year, of course, going through the manual for the evaluation. I mean, I appreciated it amazingly last year because I would never have been able to do that evaluation, but I couldn't get over how much more I understood it this year. I mean, I found it
Ah,
an invaluable resource, but this year it was like, oh, yep, yeah, yeah. And even
oh,
this
good.
MASC self-assessment tool, it's amazing what a year will do with
Yes.
understanding everything. So
Yeah. Because also it's overlaying a year of experience sitting at the committee table and working on subcommittees. So all of it starts to congeal a little bit.
it should, but it's funny because I was, to me last year, it was such, I think it's going to be really helpful for Mike because it was, I couldn't have done it. Like it was literally, it made it possible. Because remember, first I was worried and I said to you, I don't think I can do this.
Yeah.
Then I started looking at this and I'm like, oh, no, I can do it. But even what's amazing to me is that even this year, with the knowledge that I have, it's even more helpful, which is just,
Good.
it's
Yeah.
a wonderful tool.
Yeah. That's great. That's good. I'm glad that it's working that way. It should work that way.
Exactly. It's a good point.
Yeah, if we've done it right, it should be a support. So the structure of this survey is fairly balanced, I would say. She's got 8 categories. Operations has 7 items, meetings has 5 items, goal setting has 3 items, budget has 5 items, policy has 3 items, personnel has 5 items, law and ethics has 5 items, and community engagement has 5 items. So if anything, operations is a little heavy, but it's a pretty balanced layout, I think. And one of the questions that came up in my thinking first was when we should give this, or when the committee might take this assessment because of the May elections if they occur in May.
You know what's interesting? I had a friend who watched the selectmen's meeting the other night, and I haven't had a chance to go back because the work has been busy on top of this. But I'm hoping today, I think I have the time. She was saying that at the selectmen's meeting, the Boylston selectmen's meeting, they talked about the election, and they were talking about, from what she gathered, whether we need to have a special election and if the school committee needs to pay for that, not the town.
Pay for it?
Yeah, I don't understand, maybe because I thought there was another election that would be going on at the same time. But she, I'm not sure that she was necessarily watching specifically at that point, or if that's just a piece that she
There is
caught.
stuff that's exactly why I bring it up, because there is
Yeah.
stuff going on with this and it's
Yeah.
messy. And I asked Jim if he would please
Okay.
update the whole committee. I also had an interaction with our town administrator around this. She
Okay.
said it's hung up in legislature also because they're prioritizing only COVID related legislation. And so there's a good possibility that we're not going to have a May election because we're not, in order to have time to take out papers and
Right, and get the
run for
signatures.
position, people have to be able to do that by like the end of March. No, is it the end of March? Or end of February? Anyway, it's soon, and
Right.
the things are not, it's not settled that we're having May elections, and I thought it was. So
Yeah, that's why I was interested.
Yeah. So I was thinking about this because it was like, if we have May elections and members, there's some turnover in the school committee.
Right.
If you do the self-assessment beforehand, the results may not be relevant to the new committee.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, like if people say we're weak in this or that, the new committee might be like, well, let's say let's just pretend there were 2 to 3, half the committee was new, let's just say, pretend 2 or 3 members new. Then what was a weakness with the current 6 may not be a weakness when half the committee is turned over.
I see. That's good.
And yet if you if you do the assessment when the new committee is on board, they don't know enough to respond to these questions.
So no, so then that's what I was thinking too. So if, I guess another way to look at it is if our current committee does it and then it turns, we could say, okay, this is what we thought was a concern. How do we fix this going forward with your being new members? Like, how do we, because I don't know, that's an interesting thing. It's almost like, would you do this dipstick with this, with the new people as well to see where they feel? But I'm thinking like, as a new person, I didn't know,
Right.
like,
You
I
wouldn't
wouldn't have
know how
known
to
that we had
evaluate.
a policy committee, that we
Yeah.
reviewed that, or.
Yeah, you wouldn't, I don't think you could answer these questions if you were
Yeah,
brand new in May and then this was right in front of you then.
yeah,
So, yes, we could give it beforehand and provide a report afterwards.
yeah. And maybe
Um,
in that report, recognize that, this is,
Right,
that was the committee at the time.
right, right. And the committee would have to discuss whether they still felt, they'd have to decide on their goals, and they may decide, well, we don't think this result or that result is relevant to where we are now, so we'd like to have different goals. So
Yeah.
that would be part of their deliberation. That's probably the most productive way to proceed, because then also, if there is no May election
Mhm.
and the committee stays pretty stable for some other period of time, I don't know what period of time, but it's possible then the current committee may, well, that's not really true. Some people would need to step off, I think. I think,
So if they do the if we don't do the special election, it would roll to November, correct? Is that when the,
I don't think there is an election in November.
well, it's
It's
true, it's
every other
off
year,
year. You're right.
right? So I don't really, this is
Yeah,
beyond me, I tell
complicated.
you.
It's funny,
Um,
COVID has complicated so many, you never know where the little tentacles are going to reach
well,
out.
in this case, it's not even, yeah, in this case, it's kept legislation from just moving through.
Right.
Yeah. So I guess we should plan to have have the committee respond to this
Mhm.
again before May.
Yeah, I would think so.
I don't think we have to have the report done before May,
No, no,
right?
I think we,
So it
yeah,
doesn't matter that people see the results until the after May,
yes,
June
I agree.
meeting, or even the fall meeting, when we're ready to set goals. It could be another. I mean, I'd prefer to get the report out in June
I agree.
and then revisit it in the fall when you're doing goal setting.
I completely agree because I think we'll still be in the same mindset. It'll be fresh. Like once you put it off, it's like now you're trying to remember. And
Right. Yeah. Okay. So we'll plan to find a date in May, and I don't, I think all we need to do at a school committee meeting is make some comments about it,
yep,
and then send it out and have them return it.
yep,
Um, and so we don't really need to take school committee time um, at all
yeah,
till the fall. I mean, even when the report comes out, we don't have to discuss it then. I don't
right.
think we did last year. I think we distributed it and then we discussed it in the fall, I think.
I think we did too.
So I don't think we'll need to take school committee time very much. All right, so I was thinking maybe we move through this section by section and identify what came up for us in each section and just work through it. What do you think?
I think that's a great idea.
Okay, so before we start, in the final report, I was thinking now that we've done one assessment last year, a new section in the report could note changes from the prior year or years. So, last year we said this was a problem. This year it's still a problem. Or last year we said this was a problem. This year it seems to not be a concern to people. We feel like maybe there's been some progress.
That's a great idea. I like that.
So we can start to track some trends, even though membership is changing. It will help a new committee kind of get a sense of the history of the group.
I agree. That's excellent.
So it might be useful to add that in. Okay, so first section is operations. There are 7 items, so it's numbers 1 through 7.
Mhm.
And did you have concerns or questions about any in this section?
So let's see, I had next to number 7, I had the committee, it says the committee has a regular process for conducting self-evaluation. The results are discussed and used to reflect upon its practices. So I put it sticky there and just said, would we say yes, because this is what we're using, it would be based on this, or are they asking, is there something else besides this tool?
No, it would be, do they conduct a self-evaluation? And so far, this is the means through which we do that.
Okay, so that's what I was thinking. So that would be an appropriate question because we did that last year, we're doing it this year, so it's
Right.
in place.
Right, and we didn't used to. The prior
That's what I thought.
answer would have said no.
So that last year was the very first year that there was a self-evaluation. Oh, wow.
That I know, since I've been around. I don't know if people did it before.
Yeah.
And so the underdeveloped comment says no regular process or timetable exists for the committee to perform a self-evaluation. Procedures exist because that's the way we've always done things. So, my guess is that the answer prior to this, at least immediately prior, would have been underdeveloped.
Yeah.
I'm gonna, can you read this? Did I enlarge the view of this? This is probably too small.
Yeah, so it's funny because when I have my contacts in, I have to wear reading glasses, but I have my regular glasses on. So I'm somewhere between needing my regular glasses or getting that's perfect.
Okay, there we go.
Oh,
Okay,
wow.
so does that answer your question about number 7?
Yes, that's perfect. That's it. I just wanted to double check on that.
Yeah. Okay, so number 8, 8 through whatever the next 5 are about meetings.
Meetings, yeah.
And did you have anything in this one?
I didn't have anything. So when I looked at it, I think I looked at it as, is this something we can answer? Not necessarily like, can we add more verbiage to it or can we refine it? So when I was looking, so I have nothing on that. I don't know if there's any revision that we need or I guess refining. But all of those, I felt like those are questions we could answer.
Okay, I thought the only, let's see, the main thing in this section for me, I wondered if we should add an item. And because I didn't see it addressed anywhere. And I was wondering if we should add an item like this, where the top statement, the embedded and sustainable statement would be, the committee uses subcommittees or task groups to streamline its work and advance its goals. Committee chairs bring information and proposals to the committee for deliberation. And then the underdeveloped statement would say, the committee attempts to manage all tasks and deliberations within its regular meetings. Meetings often run overtime and decisions take an extended amount of time.
That's great.
Would that be useful? Because I feel like, we're trying to be deliberate about using subcommittees.
Yeah.
But I think we need to just keep that in our thinking, because we could try to do it all in the meeting. And when things come into the meeting and they haven't gone through subcommittee, sometimes they end up, taking a chunk of time.
Yeah.
So I think it would be good to have something like this to keep this on our radar.
I absolutely agree with that.
So this would be a new item, and it would say meetings, subcommittees, embedded statement would be, the committee uses subcommittees, task force groups to streamline its work and advance its goals. Committee chairs bring information and proposals to the committee deliberation. And then the underdeveloped would be attempts to manage all tasks within regular meetings. And run overtime and decisions take extended amount of time. Something like that.
I like that because that's really the point of the subcommittee.
Yeah, to streamline the work and become more efficient. And we should maybe
Yeah.
use the word efficient here.
Actually, I think that would be very helpful. That's exactly what it is.
Meetings run overtime decisions.
Meetings are inefficient, maybe, often
Yeah.
run overtime.
Okay.
Just gonna grab the phone. Hold on a second. I'm so sorry. I really don't know why we have a home phone. I usually
I know.
it up. It's always telemarketers.
It
Not call.
he makes a lot of calls on local calls, so
Well-
it's usually for him. It's like his private phone now. Well, let's see. Goal setting then is 13, 14, and 15. Did you have anything there?
Let me see, 13, 14, 15. I did not. But again, I was looking at it as, does it pertain to us, not what would I amend?
Okay. I had, let's see, a couple things came up here for me. 9. So what I noticed was that items 9 and 14,
Mhm.
let me go back to the previous section. 9 is
Agenda.
agenda planning. They both mentioned this year-long agenda and presentations. There's smooth process for agenda planning. A year-long agenda is developed. Presentations are focused on student achievement and blah, blah, blah. And then 14 says, annual goals for the district are established. The school committee ensures alignment of the goals. And the committee has established an annual meeting calendar, and presentations on goal progress are a frequent agenda process item. So they've established an annual meeting calendar, a year-long agenda, and 9.
Yeah, the year long. Yeah.
Long agenda is developed. So to me, that was redundant, and I thought that number 9 should focus on these agendas. That year-long agenda makes sense there.
Mhm.
A year-long agenda. There's a smooth process for agenda planning, and that number 14 should focus on the presentations on progress toward goals.
Yeah. Yes. I see what you're saying.
This part can be,
So the established part should go.
yeah, and then they wouldn't be redundant.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just going to add let's see if I can add a comment here. Just explanatory. Item number 9. Okay. All right. That was okay. So that was all there. And then 15, ignore that space, 15. So 15, 16, and 17, which moves into budget. I had a note saying, what is the committee's responsibility? And I had a little note said, were these some of the ones that, I guess they were personnel items, but so it says student achievement and district progress. I changed is to are because that's plural.
Yeah, great.
Monitored regularly through the use of data that adequately measures progress toward goals that have been set. Data is disaggregated so that subgroup progress is tracked. So, like, who are we talking about here?
So it's funny that you say that, because when I was reading it, I had the same question, and then I was trying to figure out what this would be. And then I wasn't sure if that they were talking about the MAPS testing or the Ames webs, when like the principals report on those things.
Right. And what's the school committee's role? So
right, exactly.
I guess I wondered if maybe it should be reworded to say something like, school committee decisions are based on da- uh, data.
Right. Right.
Um, and that school committee expects the school leadership to um, present disaggregated data reports. I think we put the emphasis on what the school committee does and what it expects to happen
I
when
agree.
patients
That's,
occur.
yep.
So let's see if we can put it up front. School committee discussions and decisions are based in are frequently, it's not all going to be about student achievement.
Oh,
And
I see
data,
what you're saying.
district data. Student achievement and district progress are monitored regularly. See, I think because it's it's really the monitoring. Well, so student achievement and district progress are monitored regularly through the use of data that adequately measures progress toward goals that have been set. Data is disaggregated. So even if you just add this sentence at the beginning, it changes the emphasis to the school committee.
Yeah.
Um, Data is disaggregated so the subgroup progress is tracked. But see, tracking data,
Should it
I
be
think,
student achievement and district progress are shared regularly, or do you know what I mean? Like, because it almost
yeah,
sounds like we're
yeah,
we're going to
okay,
schools and
'cause-
checking in on it.
yeah.
I mean, I don't know a better way to say that. Like,
Regularly through the use of data that adequately measures. Data is disaggregated. Um, Something like this, so see, a lot of our data can't be disaggregated to subgroups because we have such small numbers.
right. That's a good point.
But so I'm a little leery to just mention, even there are some subgroups, certainly we monitor that way. Um, but I think we could say something like, whoops, we could take this maybe out. Data is disaggregated to provide a view or to ensure attention to equity and outcomes.
I love that. Yes.
Um,
And that's exactly what he's working on right now.
yeah, yeah. The use of data to drive improvement is apparent to the committee. So, see, I think that's not even necessary, I don't think,
Right.
because we basically set it above what we're doing. Data is used to inform future goals and the use of district resources. That, I think we could take this other sentence out.
I think so too.
Let's see what it looks like. School committee discussions and decisions are based in district data um, and trends over time. Student achievement and district progress are shared regularly through the use of data that adequately measures progress toward goals that have been set.
Should we indicate that
Cumbersome
it's not
language.
shared by us? Do you know what I mean? Am I
Say
reading
that
that
again,
wrong?
shared by us?
Like
Oh,
are shared, or are
by,
presented by administration or,
yeah. So that would go at the beginning. District leaders
yeah,
regularly share
yes,
student achievement and district progress
that's perfect.
with the committee through the use of, okay, hang on, through hang on. I'm trying to get some concrete things in there.
Yes,
So district leaders regularly share student achievement and district progress with the committee through the effective use of data displays and reports that adequately measure progress toward goals that have been set. This is cumbersome. Toward stated goals. I think we can just say that.
perfect.
Data is disaggregated to ensure attention to equity and outcomes.
Yep.
Data is used to inform future goals and the use of district resources. So this part here, only thing about this part is that that's again the district leaders doing that.
You're right. That's a good point. Maybe should there be some action line in there, like, school committee, I don't want to say requires, or school committee,
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like our
requests.
yeah, or even, or, like basically we make sure that it's disaggregated to ensure intention. Like, is that our job? I mean, I know it's really his job. We're the oversight.
Right. Our presentations, maybe we can do it this way. Show.
That's even better.
Aggregated data. With, whoops. Disaggregated data with attention to equity and outcomes. So they disaggregate the data and pay attention to equity. Data is used to inform future goals and the use of district resources. I think those are all within now what we would see for school committee expectations.
I agree. And I think the underdeveloped, because we do more than MCAS, we do Ames Web and we do map testing and
so student achievement.
All scores, or yes, student achievement. Perfect.
Because MCAS also gives us growth. Are presented each year, but little analysis. Oh no, I'll just say no for underdeveloped. I think we'll just say scores. Student achievement scores are presented each year, but little analysis is presented to the committee. I'm going to add something here. Data presentations are not clear or inaccurate, are not clear or accurate, not clear or accurate. And it is unclear how the data will be used. So how these data presentations are done is important. And so to me, it's part of the agenda to make sure that whatever is presented well.
I agree.
And it is unclear how the data will be used. Little, if any, other student achievement data is student achievement or growth data are presented. And I don't know if social emotional data is considered student achievement.
Yeah, I don't think it is. Student achievement.
Hang on, growth. How's that? It's unclear how the data, little if any other student achievement data, growth data, or other measures of student progress are presented to the committee.
That sounds really good.
Would that work? Does this, maybe this doesn't need to be there. Yeah, let's just put it this way. If any other student achievement data or other measures of student progress are presented to the committee.
Yeah.
Does that sound okay?
That sounds really good. And I like that it puts it on us because before it had nothing to do with us. It was just whether we were basically evaluating whether they were doing it. So,
Well, maybe we should put that up here. Well, the other piece that's not here is this piece. And so maybe we should come up with a version of this down here first as a lead in. School committee discussions and decisions are rarely based
yes.
in district data and trends over time. District leaders present student achievement scores each year, but little analysis is presented to the committee. Yeah, that's really important. And sometimes we've seen that where a bunch of data is dumped on us and the analysis isn't there. So that's a good one. That's a good marker to have.
Absolutely.
Have student achievement scores each year, but little analysis is presented to the committee. Data presentations are not clear or accurate, and or it is unclear how the data will be used. Little, if any, other student achievement data. Little, if any, other student achievement data or other student achievement data or measures of student progress are presented to the committee. Does that work?
Yes, that's beautiful.
All right, that's an important one, and I think that's a good one to have changed. Okay, so now we're in the budget ones, which were some of the ones we said, gee, it's funny that it didn't show up as an issue. Budget, we seem to think we're doing everything fine with budget, even though we just talked about how weak we feel in this area. So we should consider whether there are some questions missing at all. But I felt like when I read this, again, it's not stated, well, here, here the school committee is identified as the focus in the second line, but not the first. So I wondered what the school committee's responsibility is.
It's funny because the same thing with number 17, the committee's listed last.
Right.
So when you're looking at it, you're like, oh yeah, no, they do. Yes, they do that. Yeah, they do. And then you're like, oh, I'm actually judging them. And now it's asking about me.
Right. So I wonder if we can get the committee up front.
Yes.
Maybe first we can just take this,
swap it out. Yeah.
School committee. Whoops. The budget is aligned. Budget.
Should it be something like, the school committee? I don't even know. I'm at a loss this morning. Like basically, we make sure that it's aligned, or we're an oversight to make sure it's aligned to the district goals and. Yeah.
How best to.
Yes. Right? Yes.
And consideration is given to how best to align resources to accomplish. Well, look at all those twos sitting in there. That can't be good writing. And consideration is given. The committee ensures that the budget is aligned to district goals and considers how best to align resources to accomplish goals. Oops. Is that okay?
Yes. So the bottom one, because that's not really on us, that's on them. So would it be that,
well, let's bring this one up to the top like we did before.
Yes.
This, I'm going to put the committee in front of this.
Yes, so, that would be good.
School committee gives little consideration to alignment of fiscal resources to goals or emerging needs. So before we said the ensures the budget is aligned, and now the committee, the budget is developed to reflect the programs of the previous, okay.
So are they basically saying, like, rather than doing the other things, the budget is simply developed to reflect the programs and services that have previously existed along with any new staff? So what are they, if I'm trying to, if I'm understanding what they're saying, basically they're saying we're just following last year's model without giving any thought to our current needs
and our current goals, yeah.
and our current goals. Okay.
So the committee accepts budgets. I'm just fooling around here. I don't know how.
Yeah, this is good.
Budgets that simply reflect the programs and services that have previously existed. Whoops.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Does that work? I don't know.
I think so. Let me see. The school committee gives little consideration to alignment of fiscal resources to goals. The committee accepts the budget proposals that simply reflect the programs and services that have previously existed along with any new staffing, rather than considering the district's goals for improvement. Committee accepts. Should it be something like
driving? It should be stronger here.
I don't know if it should be like the committee accepts. I don't know if it should be like similar budget proposals, although you do say that reflects programs and services that have previously existed. So I guess no, that would be along with any rather than driving. Oh, driving, that's a good word. The district's goals for improvement. No, I think that really, that exactly is, that totally cleared it up.
Okay.
That
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I think that's fine then. So 16 and 7, so 17 is a similar thing. There is a transparent process for presenting and advocating for the budget, so stakeholders have a clear understanding of what it contains, how it supports district goals and any fiscal challenges. Budget documents articulate the rationale for budget decisions. So again, you know, this part is the only part that says what the committee is really responsible for. And that's outward facing. So I think the school committee ensures there is maybe.
Yes.
Transparent process for presenting and advocating for the budget, so stakeholders have a clear understanding. That makes more sense. It's like our responsibility to hold this bar up. So stakeholders have a clear understanding of what it contains, how it supports district goals, and any fiscal challenges that exist. Budget documents articulate the rationale. And so I think as by extension, we can read that second sentence as the school also ensures this.
Yes.
Okay. And then down here, a budget book is presented, but little or no accompanying narrative exists to explain the rationale for the numbers.
I say switch those two. School committee does not actively advocate for the budget. A budget book is presented, but little or no accompanying narrative.
Well, except
Well, actually-
we have this at the end of this one.
Yeah, so,
Leave it there, but put something in front of this, the school
yeah,
committee. Um, um, I don't know what a budget book means.
I know, I agree.
This is the budget.
Plan, wouldn't it be the budget plan or the,
Yeah, yeah.
the budget plan does not.
Require accompanying narrative
Yes,
and the rationale for the numbers.
yes.
And that narrative could be verbal or written.
Yeah,
For the public, you'd think you'd want something in writing.
absolutely.
I guess we can leave it the way it is.
Yeah, do we do anything in well, we released I mean, if they wanted the documents, they could get the documents. Yeah, PowerPoint.
The PowerPoint that has usually notes in there,
Yes,
and Bob is presenting, and we have a recording of that
right. We can go back and watch
actual presentation. Yeah, I think that's fine. Okay.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay, 17. Okay. Okay, so now we're up to budget monitoring, budget warrants. And, you know, these also, I know that she pretty much throughout these pieces, didn't put the school committee at the front of many statements, but somehow with some of these, it was harder because it felt like we weren't evaluating ourselves. We were evaluating, they were comments about the district leadership, not about us.
Right.
So I think we need to just somehow make that clearer sometimes. The school committee regularly monitors and oversees the budget during the course of the fiscal year.
Mhm.
Committee receives periodic reports that facilitate full understanding of budget status. If line item transfers are necessary, the committee is fully informed of the rationale behind the transfer. That okay?
Yep, I just said an LY to regular.
Oh yeah, thanks. And so down here, once the budget is approved, the school committee does not regularly receive budget reports. The superintendent may occasionally ask for approval of transfers, but these may come as a surprise to the committee. Yeah.
Should we switch that sentence around and put the front
Yeah.
part at the back of it so the school committee is the active part?
So let's say it again. The school
So like,
committee.
should we say the school committee does not regularly receive budget reports once the budget is approved, so that it's an act, you know what I mean? Because it's almost like we're second again.
Right.
And I feel like that distracts from. Yes.
I'm wondering, again here, we put the work on us,
Mhm.
does not require regular budget reports after the budget is approved. The superintendent may occasionally ask for approval of transfers. Yeah. It's a little better to me because at least it says it's the school committee's job to make sure this happens.
Yes.
Ensure That may be a better word. Regular budget reports after the budget is required.
I would put a not, does not ensure,
Whoops, yeah.
does not ensure regular review of budget reports after the budget is approved. Yeah.
Okay, I think that's clear enough.
Yeah.
Okay, so then budget, then we're up to,
Yeah.
so 20, I had a question about 20.
Yeah.
I felt like this concern with equity could be in every section.
Right.
It could
That's a good
be in
point.
operations, meetings, goals, you could attend to equity in every area. Equity in policy, equity in the budget, equity in goal setting, equity in community engagement. I think it could be everywhere. So I started, and I don't know the answer to this one yet, but I started to wonder, like, what would an equity question look like, and which section would it be placed in? It's an important topic, and it could almost be its own section. You could have 3 items just on equity,
Right.
and elevate it rather than sticking it just in the budget.
I see what you're saying.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
I
if
know exactly what
equity
you're
is
saying.
really a key piece that we want to keep our attention on, then it shouldn't be buried just in the budget section.
Should it be in the what's goal setting?
Goal setting. Should we go back and look at the goal setting
I
section?
wonder, yeah, if it should be in that part, because that to me is it's a goal.
Okay, so we have, yes, I agree. We have mission and vision, annual goals, use of data, oh, and that's budget.
Okay, yeah.
3 goal setting. So we could add one here that is specifically on equity, which makes sense because this is where the district is going, right?
Absolutely.
So if we put it under mission and vision, maybe in here. Oh, look how little that is. What is that font?
That's number 13. So let's see.
And we said something like, the committee attends to equity across, I'm just making this up, budget, policy, goal setting. I should,
Oh, geez.
in operations decisions. No, we don't make decisions. Goal setting, discussions, and decisions. Personnel. Looking at the other categories.
Yeah. Budget policy. Now, should there be something in there regarding, because I know, I'm just thinking of my meeting yesterday on the subcommittee, not subcommittee,
the task force.
Yeah, the task force, thank you. He was mentioning something about equity as far as, and all I could think of were my own 2 kids. Some kids need more than others do. So it's not necessarily equality so much as it's equity. So should there be something in there about academics or support or
student learning decisions, student achievement decisions, student learning, goal setting. Wait a minute. To equity across budget, policy, goal setting discussions.
Yeah.
Goal setting, essay achievement discussions, and that will include
That's yeah.
questions and decisions.
Yes. Yep. That's great. Committee tends to equality across budget policy, goal setting, and student achievement discussions. Yes. I think that's crucial. I think that's.
My computer is starting to, I can hear the fan going on and
Oh,
all
yeah.
wonky things start happening. See
That
how
happened
slow
to me
it
the
is
other day when it's funny when the fan goes on, it's like the blue screen of death. You have the same,
yeah.
reaction. Like, oh no, what does this mean? It's gonna start slowing down on me.
Ensures.
Let's see.
I don't know if that's really necessary. I just feel like the first sentence, maybe it says it all.
No, I almost feel like it's funny because I feel like that second sentence really helps you to understand why it's a discussion. Do you know what I mean? Because otherwise, attends to equity across the budget policy, like that could be, are we looking at what they're writing? Are we, how are we doing that?
Okay, so it ties it down more.
Yeah.
Ensures leadership presentations disaggregate data to better understand and discuss equity issues and track progress in the district. I think the other piece is ask questions. About, addressed.
See, I like pieces like this too because I think they're good reminders of what our job is as well. Because like just for instance, my daughter's going to start driver's ed. She's 15 years, 9 months, so they can do like the classroom portion. So I went and picked up her little book, and then I got some little pamphlets from the Boylston Police Department on like what you're supposed to do when you're pulled over, which God willing doesn't happen, and then like how to drive in bad weather. So I was just thumbing through them, and I was like, oh wow, I forgot when you have anti-lock brakes, you're not supposed to pump the brakes, but I have always pumped the brakes because I didn't grow up with anti-lock brakes. Like different things like that are like little cues to yourself to say, I'm supposed to be doing that. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. You're right. And that's the usefulness of tying the language down a little bit.
Yeah.
The committee ensures leadership presentations disaggregate data to understand, discuss equity issues, and track progress. Members ask questions about how equity is being addressed. Maybe we can say just keep a spotlight
on its importance, or
yeah. All right, let's try an underdeveloped statement and see. Okay, now this is where I think, again, in the writing of the original statements, I noticed she avoided using frequency terms, always does this, rarely does this. You don't see that in a lot of these items. And we're introducing that. So it could be, if we took this out,
Right, yes.
um, and we try to say it without frequency, let's see how it does.
Committee is inconsistent, or
Um,
I'm not sure where you were going to go, where you were going to go, and then I know you have a.
yeah, I think probably inconsistent.
Or let's see.
Rare, I guess I would be
Yeah.
again, the frequency thing, but does not, I hate to put it in a negative too, but
Or maybe, yeah, I see what you're saying. I mean, you could say something along the lines of, but with, better language, focuses on other issues rather than, or.
attention to.
Yes. Attention to, that's great. Because I feel like that's the lens that we're going to be looking through a lot in the future. It's gone from equality to equity, which is what it should be. Those who need more get more. Those who don't need it. So why would you,
Right.
require it?
They have different needs.
Exactly. Yes, very much. Doesn't mean that they don't have needs. Yeah. Hmm. Should it be leadership presentations do not address equity? Or because is their focus completely on that? That was my only thought.
Yeah. They don't address equity. They address other things, right? Yeah. Do not address equity, and members do not raise questions.
I love that last part too, because that's exactly it. If they don't address it, it's our job to make sure it's addressed. So that puts it back on us, not just on them.
Yes, I think so. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, good. And so then that, if we go back, then that would potentially eliminate the need for having an equity budget piece.
I would agree.
Because that would be part of that other one. Although we could take this comment and put it back there.
Yes. Yep.
And we'll take both of them.
Yes, I agree. The underdeveloped as well.
Where was that? Here?
There we go. Yeah.
Oops. I think that can work okay.
Yeah, I think so too.
Let me grab the other line.
I like where you put it too.
Yeah, I think that's good.
I like that.
And I like that this gets stronger place in the survey.
I agree, because you're right. That's a good point. I haven't even thought about that. It should
I
be
mean,
one of the most important.
it's not, I don't know if this is the right place still, because we haven't said anything about goal setting, but if this is more about monitoring.
Yeah, it is. Well, although, but I get what you're saying, because I'm thinking it is one of his goals.
Yeah,
But you're right,
currently,
it's more about monitoring. You're right. It's more about monitoring the goals.
Unless we put something in about goals, the committee tends to equity goals. How about that?
Oh, that's good.
Across the budget policy and student achievement discussions and decisions. That assumes then that we have equity goals, that we sort of, stays up there.
So should we add goals to the bottom of the first sentence underneath underdeveloped without attention to equity goals, or keep it at equity? So the committee discusses budget, policy, goal setting.
Uh-oh. I don't like that little spinning ball I'm getting here.
Oh, no.
Uh-oh.
Play with that. It's the worst.
I'm gonna just move this off the table and put it on a box here and just see if it makes, I don't like to type up in the air like this though, so this is not very comfortable. Let me see if I can get something. There are no vents on the bottom of the computer, so I don't have any way to like cool the computer.
Oh, to let it, yes, I know exactly what you're saying.
This is to equity goals. Here it would go, right? Without attention to equity goals?
Yes.
Whoops. Okay. All right. So then we would take this budget one out.
Yes. So are you going to highlight it and say we would remove it so that she sees that, or?
Yeah, I'll stick a comment in, and I can. Put a new item.
Oh, I see what you did. That's great. See, look, I'm learning all this stuff about Google.
Actually, this is Word.
Oh, is that Word?
Yeah, this is.
Oh, you're right. It is Word. I can see it up there.
Track changes on this.
I didn't realize that you could put comments in there.
Yeah, if you just go up to insert.
That's great.
You have to select something so it has a place to anchor.
Yeah.
Insert comment.
That's wonderful.
Item under, what was it called? Goals and.
Yes, goals and, let me see. Goal setting, monitoring. Goal setting and monitoring.
Goal setting, thank you.
And then I noticed that it has like number 14 says goal setting and monitoring, and then it has a colon, like annual goals. And then the next one has like use of data. Do we have
a subheading?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. We'll just say goals, equity.
Yes.
So that will say
setting and monitoring.
Setting and monitoring. Equity.
Perfect.
This new item doesn't have, it has subcommittees. Okay, good. So now we're down to 20, the last, is it personnel?
Yes, yep.
Wait a minute, policy.
Policy, that's what it is. 21, yep.
Okay, did you have anything in this section? Policy?
So I had something next to 22, but now that I'm looking at policy review, now I remember the struggles that I had, because it says district policies are reviewed in a regular cycle. Like, do we put the school committee in there, or like, it's not clear who's doing that.
That's not 22.
I mean, sorry, 21.
21.
So
okay.
I was looking at 21, but then on number 22, I wasn't sure. I just wrote Dewey with a smiley face.
Okay, I had a suggestion.
Sure, that's under subcommittee, but I wasn't sure.
I had a revision for 21. Say your question again about 21.
So for 21, I wasn't sure, like it doesn't indicate school committee. So for me, I was thinking like, who's reviewing the district policies? Are we talking specifically about the school committee? I would assume we are, but then it says,
It says the committee. Do you, right? Are we reading the same one, 21? The committee regularly reviews handbooks. Is that the one you're on?
oh, so that one's number 22. I was looking back at 21. I told you about 22, but then I jumped back to 21.
These numbers change? Why do I have my numbers are different than yours?
Oh, that's interesting. Oh, I think maybe because you added one in.
It may have meant that formatting thing that happened.
Yeah. So
Okay,
I have the district policies. That's what I'm looking at. Are reviewed on a regular cycle. Outside of the cycle, policies are reviewed, added, and amended in response to changes.
Yeah. Okay, and so I'm sorry, say again your question about it.
So for me, my confusion last year was because the other questions didn't always indicate it was clearly the school committee that did it.
Okay.
I didn't know if we should be insinuating or directly stating school committee, reviews district policies in a regular cycle or however.
On or in, if they had in, but I don't know, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I don't know.
Outside of the cycle, policies are reviewed, added, amended in response. So then it's clear.
Yes.
The rest of this applies to school committee.
Yeah.
I don't know what this is. The process of promulgating policies is clear to the public and allows for public input. It is. I don't know how we do that.
Yeah.
It does allow for public input because it's a public meeting.
Right.
Um,
Well, if it's a public meeting, do they have the right? I mean, do they have not the right, but do they have the option or ability to talk during that, or?
But in the particularly in the front, just like a regular school committee meeting.
Yeah.
But again, it's so small that if somebody wanted to say something, I'm sure we could entertain that.
Right. Right.
But this part about making clear to the public how policies work and are communicated and changed and shaped.
Yeah, I don't think we ever talk about that.
Oh, and I'm not sure why we necessarily
Would. Yeah.
take time to do that, but I think we can leave it there. It could be something for the policy committee to work on. So school committee, so again, it would be here, school committee. Yeah. Here's a frequency word in this one. Reviews or updates, policies.
Yes.
Okay. So 21, any issues? I had a suggestion for this one, or mine of 21. For you, it's a different number, it seems.
Yeah, so yeah, it's 22 for me. So my only question was, I assume we do, I just didn't know if we did or not. If we do that, I assumed we were a part of it, but I didn't.
Yeah, we approve we have to approve the student and staff handbooks every year, every fall. But it's kind of sort of ridiculous. It's like nobody's going to read those entire handbooks. So
yeah,
it's not clear what we're specifically reviewing. And I think, so here's a suggestion I have for this one.
Yeah.
I don't think that handbooks is just one example of, handbooks are a form of policy for the school committee because it's a stated agreement basically, but it's only one form. And so I was thinking maybe we should revise this to say the committee regularly reviews hang on. And approves the full range of policies in the district, including the budget, student and staff handbooks, collective bargaining agreements, strategic and district improvement plans, regional agreements, MOUs, and grant applications.
That's fantastic.
So that we understand all of those things are policies.
Yep.
And we engage with all of those.
I would agree.
All right, let's see if we can do that. Regularly reviews. Ensure alignment to ensure alignment to I would say alignment among them. These include budget, math and student handbooks, collective bargaining agreements, strategic district improvement plans, regional agreements, MOUs, and things. It reviews other procedures as appropriate, but in general gives the superintendent the authority to promulgate procedures to implement policy. So down here, it would be the committee does not review full range of district policy documents
That's perfect.
or administrative procedures unless complaints or issues arise. Does it not review and approve? Maybe it's we have to approve these too.
That's right. That is a far better explanation.
Okay.
Yeah. I think you can give that a more honest answer because you're considering all the important pieces. It was so vague before.
Good.
I like
Okay.
that.
All right. So that's 22. Anything else in policy?
So policies, let's see. So for the policies reflect research on best practices, I think again, there needs to be, because that's so vague, it could mean, it should say, something like school committee, let me think what I put.
Insurers policies are.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I was trying to use a different word besides ensure because we've used it, but you're right, exactly. That's exactly what we're supposed to do. Yep. Focus of policies. Is that? For the achievement.
There's so many policies where we don't talk at all about relevance to achievement of students, but some of them don't really directly relate to that.
Should we say when possible or when applicable?
Yeah. Or should it go up here?
Yeah, I think maybe if they're, please, yeah. Because it's an excellent point. All policies, they can't. There's so much more that goes on. I mean, that's the key piece, but
yeah,
it's not always the focus. So super.
Okay, so policies are overly prescriptive and based on the opinions and philosophies of the school committee without regard to data. Oh, data and research isn't even mentioned up here.
Interesting. Yeah.
Best practices, data, and or research.
Yep. Perfect.
Okay. Okay, we're moving into personnel.
Mhm.
Superintendent evaluation. First one I have noted here is number 27. Do you have anything in this personnel section?
Funny because I have from policy handbooks and procedures, mine goes into, oh wait, no. Mine goes into superintendent evaluation.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Okay.
My
Okay,
number.
okay, I see it now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so anything in this, so in these personnel items?
I don't believe so. Let me see. So for number 27, there's no mention of the school committee. And then I also have for
Wait,
number,
what 27 is
I'm
my
sorry,
27,
so employee
right?
relations.
Yeah. Yes, yes.
So I wasn't sure, were they talking about the superintendent? Are they, who are they talking about in this?
I
So
had the same note, rephrased to center more on the school committee role. Participates in or encourages, what do we want to say? Fosters.
yes. Yes.
Share communications with the collective bargaining units. And the superintendent is included and supported in this effort. Regular communication allows issues to be resolved collaborative. Regularly, who's doing this communicating? Between the school committee and district leadership and the union, all three? I would think
so, because that would.
I mean, typically we're not engaging, the superintendent engages most often.
Right.
In terms of regular communication.
Yep.
So I guess I would say, in terms of regular communication, I would say that the school committee expects the superintendent to engage in regular communication, allowing issues to be resolved collaboratively, something like that. But it's still just an expectation.
Right. There's no way to determine whether we do that or not, because I'm not sure that that's necessarily our job so much as it's Jim's or.
Yeah, I agree. Well, it could say some, yeah. And the committee doesn't necessarily even hear about it. Even if Jim does something, has a conversation, we might hear updates. So it might be the committee chair and superintendent provide, or the school committee requests updates on the committee chair and superintendent's ongoing communications.
Yeah, I think
with something like that.
Because I find that, I think because, the chair's job is he has such a busy job, and he has, it's a volunteer job. He has a life outside of it. A lot of times we'll hear things that we don't necessarily know how they got to that, or it'll be explained, but the updates would be great if they could, for what we should know. I have to say, I really like the way that both Jim and Jeff work with the teachers, and that it's not an adversarial relationship. Even when they have different opinions, there's always a nice feeling to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and we don't say that, but open and fair, communications. Regular updates from the committee chair regarding communications with collective bargaining.
But I right there, it resolved collaboratively rather than confrontationally. I find that's what they do. Like they try to work together to find some sort of common ground or some area that they can both bend on.
Sorry, I'm totally changing this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Regarding communications. Updates regarding something like
Would it be like ongoing communications or?
well, I was wondering if the collaborative part would come up here.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Not really, that's not quite regarding communications.
Regular updates on the committee chair.
The updates aren't to support collaborative.
Yeah, but wait, with the expectation or with the,
chair,
I see what you're saying. I know exactly what you're saying.
updates regarding, so I think it's this way. Hang on, regarding.
That sounds really good. Updates from committee chair.
The committee expects regular updates from the committee chair and superintendent regarding collaborative efforts with the collective bargaining to resolve. I think that's a little more direct.
I like that. Yes.
It's like, okay, we want updates and we expect these efforts to be collaborative,
Yes.
right? Is that?
Yep, I like that. And I like the resolve concerns too, because it's a far less loaded word than issues, which is what I probably would have put down. I like, because it really is, it's just concerns. They're not necessarily issues at the time.
Right. Okay, so what's the under the culture in the district is us versus them between the union and the committee. Okay. And grievances go to the leadership. So, well, I guess, because we have the leadership up above, because it's such a collaborative thing. I guess it's possible this leadership could be coming to the school committee, and the school committee might be fostering a particular culture. I guess I'm wondering if, up above, we have the superintendent being included. So I feel like there should be something here about
I see what you're saying.
the committee does not actively support the superintendent. Establishing communications. And then it would make sense why grievances would be high. We're
Absolutely,
not
yes.
supporting the culture, we're not supporting the superintendent and having that culture. And it's interesting, would we say the opposite up here? Would we say the number of grievances is low and the productive relationship is evident to parents in the community?
Yeah, I think you would.
But we also don't have a sentence here about
Like basically due to this or the.
oh no, I'm looking up at the above one saying the committee does not receive
Oh, right. You're right.
updates, regular communications. Committee chair and superintendent about addressing concerns. And then we take this line and we bring it up here, and then they'll be parallel. The number of grievances is low, and the productive relationship is evident to parents in the community. I don't know how we know that, but I guess we would hear about it if it wasn't.
Oh, we would.
Well, sometimes what you hear instead is that the people are pandering to the union, right? It's like, oh, the union has you in their pockets, that kind of. It's a sort of a demeaning kind of portrayal.
It's amazing to me how relevant this particular item is this year, specifically with the unions, because I think people have a lot of anger and they want a scapegoat. And so now it's just suddenly the union when they don't realize every union is different.
Yeah.
Teachers' concerns, but it really is like I think this is extremely important for people to keep in mind that it has to be a collaborative. It's two sides working together for the best outcome. And
yeah, I'm not going to repeat the word collaborative. Yeah, I agree. Okay, I think that's improved.
I like that a lot.
Okay, that's that one. Is there anything else?
And then let's see, what do we got? So personnel support. So this is one where the hires, direct hires and retains. So this is where I was thinking right below it.
Whoops, missed it.
So I think it might be.
I don't see it.
Right here, the committee has policies in place.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Hires, retains, and evaluates a highly qualified staff. I wasn't sure about that only because I know that the hiring is done by, the principals, and then it goes to the superintendent, and I wasn't sure. I guess I wanted more clarification on what they were insinuating or how we do this.
And resources are allocated for professional development and support. Well, there's a budget issue there. So that's our budget responsibility.
Okay.
And to ensure evidence. And this piece, I'm trying to think what our hiring policies. We have evaluation policies.
Yep.
And we have probably PD and retention policies in there somewhere. We probably have hiring too. It's actually, I don't even know, and I'm sitting on the policy committee, so I'm not even sure how people would. I mean, I know we have evaluation stuff, right? Because we're all involved in that.
Right.
So I had almost changed this to say they have policy, the committee. Well, no, you can't say that. I mean, how have you answered this in the past? Is this just a guess?
Right, that's what I was trying to think of last year. The district does not have policies or procedures in place to ensure the hiring, retention, and evaluation of highly qualified educators. Okay, so look at the result as a high staff turnover and inconsistent staffing. So that's the bottom part.
The policies are in place to ensure resources are not available to provide adequate ongoing professional development. The result. So maybe we bring this up.
Yeah.
But there could be other reasons why staff don't turn over or why staff do turn over.
Well, I'm just thinking, like, if I was, 25 years and I was a step whatever with a master's, I wouldn't leave. Do you know what I mean? Where are you going to go and be retired at that?
Right.
So you're right. That's a good point. That's only part of the dynamic, I guess.
The result is high staff, but it would be likely if we had really bad policies in place and no resources that people would leave, but they might stay for other reasons. So we can't just bring that up. I don't know. I guess I would tend to leave this for now because I can't think of a better way to frame it.
Yeah. I mean, because I remember when I answered this, if I'm remembering it correctly, I read the first part and I was like, not sure if we have that. I'm sure, I assumed we did, but then when I read the second part, I felt better about answering it because it says resources are allocated for professional development, which I know, and support to ensure the staff have necessary skills and qualifications to meet the needs of the students. And I've heard them speak to that. So that second part explained the first part to me and made me feel confident that we must have those things. So it's not necessarily so that it needs to be fixed. It was more a question on my end of, do we have a problem? We must. So.
Well, and it may be, this may raise an issue for policy, for example, to educate the committee around what our policies are around this.
Well, and I also felt like reading the underdeveloped part helped me to realize, do you know what I mean? Like, that helped me to better understand the embedded and sustainable as well, because it's the opposite.
I think so. So I think we can answer it. It's not as clear and straightforward for us as the other items, but I think we can find our way through that item.
I agree. Yep.
Let's see. So open meeting law seemed right.
Yep.
And the I had a question about. Oh, I wanted to add something here. No, is this the one? No. Hang on. Down further. Conflict of interest. Committee members avoid conflicts of interest as appropriate. They seek advice and are filed disclosure to, and then I would add, all committee members participate in conflict of interest training every 2 years as required by law.
So is that the ethics training?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Mike just took that. I checked in with him to make sure he took it, and I said to him, it's really interesting because it's very entertaining. You know that it exists because people have clearly, a rule always exists because it's being broken, but some of the things you're going to be there and you're going to be like, I know this. But then there's other things that you hear that you're like, oh, wow, I had no idea. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, some of it's very particular. And I had, I just hadn't thought, I think it's a useful training. It takes more time than I want to give to it. But
right. But I do like, I don't know how it's been done in the past, but I did like that you could just do it online. So you could sit, you could have the time, you could follow through. And so I do, there are some things, and I don't know if they had that before, but with COVID, there are some things that have become easier. So I'm always trying to find the silver lining in everything. And it's nice to be able to do that on your own time and be able to digest it. Cause not necessarily Tuesday at 5 o'clock, if that's when they're offering it, are you mentally in the game? So.
Right.
However, Tuesday at 6:30, I am always mentally in the game, Susan. Depending on which Tuesday it is. Oh, boy. There we go.
I don't even know if this is possible. Who monitors whether we complete it? I don't know.
I can't decide
Okay.
if it's the town clerk or if it's Christie. I think it's the town clerk is who you have to submit it to.
Originally, when you're brought in, you had to do it through the town clerk, but then, yeah, maybe we submit it to Christie, who then submits
Who
it to
then submits it to the, yeah.
Okay, I had one other one of these redundant things.
Yep.
It's just a pain in the neck.
Oh, I had a few other things that the community engagement, I had a few checks there.
Okay, let's go
I
to
think
that.
more questions than anything.
Let's go to that one. Community engagement. Okay.
So the one that says community outreach, the committee makes an ongoing effort to provide information to the community about the achievements and challenges of the school district. A communication plan exists to reach stakeholders through multiple media.
Yeah.
So it wasn't necessarily that we should change the question. It was more that I know that's I think that's one of our goals this year, correct?
It's this year or last year. I can't remember, but
Yeah.
I'm not hearing much going on with it. So I don't know. That's why we're unsure, I think.
So, I mean, so I think it's a good question. I just wasn't sure. Because even another question that I have, Susan, and I almost feel dumb for asking this, being a committee member. So like when we have our school committee meeting, when we had it on Tuesday night, the things that we get in our packet are those, my understanding is that if people want that information, they can go to the office and get a hard copy, but they're not necessarily put online for them. Is that, and they're available after the meeting? Is that how it works, or?
I think they can request copies of any of those materials from Christie, so Christie can send that stuff to them.
Okay, but it's not necessarily posted anywhere because it's not necessary. It's a lot of stuff online. Just wasn't sure how it was done. Okay.
Yeah, and we don't advertise that because obviously, I guess it creates could create a lot of challenge, time demand on Christie's time, but
that's what I was thinking too.
Obviously, people should know how to get that information.
It makes you wonder almost if that going forward should be a goal that should be maybe a school committee's members' job, you know?
Get that, it's transparency, which is actually not named here. So maybe we might want to put that word in here somewhere.
I agree.
So a communication plan, I also think maybe we say communication plan and policies exist to support communication exists to reach stakeholders through multiple media.
Yeah, I think policies would be good there because then it infers that you would have something in place rather than, oh, well, sometimes they get this or something, you know.
Maybe we put it here. Clarify maybe. I don't know if that's not very good. There are parameters, but it sounds so restrictive.
Well, so it's funny that you mentioned that though, because I was just looking down at underdeveloped, where the committee reaches out to the community only periodically and generally only when the community support is needed for funding. You know, we're restricted in what we can do on social media, you know, for good reason that exists. So it's an interesting conundrum. Like, well, how it's not necessarily that we don't reach out to the community. It's that, you know, it's supposed to be Jim that's making the statements. He's the chair, and
there are reasons for all that.
Yes.
maybe policies clarify parameters and approaches for the committee's public communications.
Yes, that's good.
Yeah. The committee reaches out to the community only periodically and generally only when community support is needed for funding. Committee lacks a communications plan and or policies to support effective public communications. Maybe like that.
Yeah, that makes it so much better.
It just adds one
Mhm.
more thing to be assessing. Okay.
I like that.
Anything else here?
Let me see.
Oh, the last one, 38, is it now? 30, this 36, no, 37.
Is it the
I thought we should
important
add a
follow-
little text. The
Okay.
communicates with colleagues across the state to stay abreast
Yes.
of trends,
Yeah.
emerging issues. I think this is where we should put in something about members attend MASC
Yes.
conference and or other topical forums
Yep.
on a regular during the year and report back to the committee.
Oh, that's good.
Updates, resources, and proposals.
I like that.
We don't do that at all, and we should.
No, what's interesting is for as much, I get the daily updates and then, I go on the site every now and then Jim will say, oh, I'm doing this, or you'll say I'm doing this, and wow, I didn't catch that. So it's nice to know about it. And it's funny, I was at one of the meetings and you were there because you asked a question. You said something like that, it says we can see the attendees, but we can't. And I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, it says we can see. I don't know who else is here.
Yeah, I find that really frustrating. If we're supposed to be trying to network and,
Yes.
have conversations with people, I don't even know who's in the room.
Yes, and it's nice to know because that's how you make your connections. In real estate, it's the other agents that I've met that have been the most helpful.
Yeah, right.
That's the best part of going to, not only relearning the information or learning new information, it's the contacts that you make in the resources.
Oops. Yeah, I can just do it like that. Would that work? It might be more than legislative updates. It might be
Even
initiatives in other districts. Other committee, yeah, initiatives in other districts.
Yeah.
That's probably what you'd find out. I'm thinking about when you go to a conference and stuff, or practices and other initiatives. Yeah. And so down here it would be few, if any, committee members attend conferences, forums, and rarely report back to the committee.
I have to say that is the best resource for a new or a current member. Like I find those daily updates, just reading what's going on in the state.
Right.
I would have no idea otherwise. Whoever does that, is there a person that does that, or is there do you know if
that must be if you're talking about, right?
The MASC, like the daily, where they have all of the
yeah.
Yeah, I find that really helpful because I would have no idea otherwise. It's really nice to know what's going on everywhere else.
Professional listservs. Serves. Districts. Attend conferences or topical forums and follow discussion of professional listservs during the year. Right? Follow discussion.
Should we get rid of the and put a comma after year and put reporting, just to make it a, most committees report.
Attend conferences, follow discussion.
No, I guess it doesn't matter. That sounds good. Yeah.
And report back.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that's important because I think it's a two-pronged piece. So I think that needs to be that like that. Yeah. And I think it sounds good too.
I'm going to call this a webinar, I guess. Topical.
Yeah.
And follow discussion on professional listservs or read publications during the year and report back to the committee regarding legislative updates, initiatives, and other districts and resources. Yeah.
Should be webinars or.
Yeah, I'm just trying to avoid relisting.
Same word again, yeah.
Attend conferences or. Primarily report back to the committee.
Yeah.
Is there better?
Yes, that's great. Yep.
How's that? Is that okay?
Yeah, that's great. Because again, I feel like this is a good reminder, as much as it's a, dipsticking tool to see where we're at, it's also a reminder of this is what we should be doing. This is an expectation. Right. And everybody kind of gets into a habit of what they do and what they don't do, so.
Right. That's the bottom. Okay. Anything else on your list there?
No, that is it. I have to tell you, it's just going to sound ridiculous. I'm going to sound like a nerd, but I'm pretty excited about this because it really does, I feel like it's a really good way of seeing where we're at and also being focused on what we need to do better, and
I think so. What I will do is I'll probably just go back and insert more comments for Dorothy so she understands what we're trying to do here. But I think we can leave these the way they are. I think I see a lot more reference to the school committee, which I think is important.
Yes. Well, and I think it was really important in those places where it wasn't necessarily just our job. Like in the places where it's just something that we do, it didn't need to necessarily say the school committee or, but especially in places where the hiring was, I remember last year thinking, okay, so like I said, that the administrators and Jeff and are we doing the hire? So it set my mind in a different direction. This really hones it in and reminds you of what our responsibilities are in relation to theirs.
Yeah, I think so. And I think I'm just looking at this last comment here. I see the committee has policies, and down here all of a sudden we're talking about the district does not have policies or procedures, and the procedures are the domain of the superintendent. So I feel like we could improve this a little bit and say again, the committee does not have policies. Procedures are not part of our charge.
Yep.
The committee does not have, they are in terms of making sure the superintendent has them, but the committee does not have policies in place to ensure the hiring, retention, and evaluation of highly qualified. I think the policy doesn't by itself ensure the hiring. It guides. The procedures do matter.
Right.
But I think this
So-
is to guide.
Do you think you should, yeah, I was going to say, I think guide would be right, because you're right. It doesn't. Evaluation of hire.
Sure, the district hires to, all right, we'll just go back to this and do it. Okay.
Yep, just add an S to hires.
Oops. And this,
Now, just my next question is, resources are not available to provide adequate ongoing professional development. Should we have an onus in that? Like,
well, budgetary resources, maybe we should say, because that's our domain.
yeah.
But does that clarify anything or not?
So I feel like maybe
that-
something along the lines of, the school committee basically make sure that there are resources, or that the school committee does not. Yeah.
Whoops. In this case, does not approve
Right.
adequate budgetary resources to provide.
Yeah, that's great.
And up here it would be.
Yeah, that's really good. I like that. Resources for professional development. So on the bottom part where underdeveloped, the committee does not approve, should we say, or ensure? Because it's not necessarily that we're approving it. It's also that we need to make sure that he has it in there, right? Or require, or not require. I mean, I don't know if you think that's necessary.
Well, it probably isn't, because if we can't approve it if it's not there.
That's a good point. That's
right.
You're right. Yep.
In this case, yeah, it's more like the onus is on us. If we're going to approve it, it means that we expect it to be in there.
Right.
And if it's not in there, I mean, if we don't approve effective budgets, that may be because we don't want to spend the money on that, or
I get what you're
the
saying.
superintendent doesn't have it there, and either way, we're at fault.
Good point.
Okay. So, what I was doing as I was glancing up is, as I'm just scanning, I'm seeing the committee, and that's part of what we were really trying to do, is make sure the committee was named, and our task was named here. And I'm seeing that as I scroll up everywhere now. So I feel like that's
much better. Yes.
An improvement.
So should it be like the school committee has an established process?
Yeah.
Or the committee, or?
Yeah. Yep, and there, look at all the places now that says school committee. I think that's really good.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, to be honest, I'm impressed with what they I'm impressed with what they came up with as a starting document, there was clearly a lot of thought and a lot of work
Yeah,
that went into
I
it.
agree. Yeah, absolutely. It's a lot of work.
School committee
It's such a
ensures,
funny statement. It's a passive sentence and,
yes.
um,
Should we add in the school committee ensures alignment of
have
annual
that.
district goals or something like that, or?
well, but we also, well, you have the alignment piece here.
Yep.
But this piece is just that there is a process for establishing and reviewing annual goals. And so maybe that's what we say. Committee has a process for
Gotcha.
establishing and monitoring.
Perfect, yes.
Of course, we have monitoring someplace else for goals. Or
So-
establishing annual goals for the district.
Yep. School committee.
And yeah, okay. Just, you know, it's just jumping out at me, a couple places where committee is not really there.
So that underdeveloped one, there was a mission statement in place with the vision articulated for the district has no plan or strategy. The up part, committee is working with superintendent.
Yeah, it seems like there is something here about the committee does not work with the superintendent and community to establish long-range education goals and strategy for the district. Because we have had superintendents in the past that have just worked autonomously.
Right.
And the committee's kind of just on the outskirts. We're just receivers. We sign off, but there really is no discourse with the committee. Committee's not really part of it, nor is the community. So I think that's important to have in there. Okay, that's good. I think we're good. Let's be done with this.
Yeah, this is great.
So I will copy you when I send this off to Dorothy, but don't reply or anything, or it will look like
Just an FYI. Yep.
Or maybe I won't copy you. I'll just send it off. You'll trust me to do that, right? I'm just going to stick in
yeah, absolutely.
what we're trying to do. But these are the revisions we'll send. Okay, so let's get our calendars and set some dates here. We have this evaluation timeline. And somewhere, it's slow. Okay. So April 9th, I put down as a date for us to meet and just plan, get down exactly what we're doing with our report this year, who's doing what parts, right? So let's check April 9th, because for some reason I landed on that date. I'm not sure why now when I look at it.
Maybe because it's
a Friday. Oh,
yeah, I have nothing that day, so.
Okay, so why don't we do we want well, you tell me what time would work for you.
Any time would work for me because I have nothing on my calendar at this time, so.
You want to do like 10 o'clock?
Sure.
10 to 12 at most. Hopefully it won't be that long, but I think that we will want to look at the report and do a little just get our heads into, oh yeah, what's this report involve and what are the parts that we each should do. Okay, so that's April 9th, 10 to 12. And then the superintendent will present his end of cycle report. The school committee will submit their evaluations, and we need to then get to work very quickly on drafting. So by then we will already have figured out, you're going to do this, I'm going to do that.
Yep. Yep.
We'll be going to work on that. And then on May 2nd, we are looking at a first review. So that's a Sunday. Is that possible to meet on a Sunday?
Oh, yeah, I would think so. Let me check.
Will I interrupt religious services?
No, no. We have nothing on May 2nd. Completely.
Oh, wait a minute. That's Easter. Is that no?
Oh, is it Easter?
That's Orthodox Easter. Is that that's different, right?
That's different. Wait, let me just double check. I think it's at the end of April. I feel. Well, it's not on my calendar. Where is it?
Yeah,
Easter Monday. Easter Sunday is April 4th.
Oh, it's April 4th?
That's what it
Wow,
says.
what a difference between that and Orthodox. Orthodox is Greek, I guess, right?
Yeah, it's funny because I always thought they fell about two weeks apart. I didn't realize they could be a whole month off.
Yeah, that's a big gap. Okay, so the second, so we're going to need a long meeting on this day because we're probably going to need to just go through the report and really work on it together. Although remember, this is a public meeting, so let's see, this is May 2nd, and then it goes out to the school committee on the 4th. So we'll have to decide, yeah. So this is the date when either we're going to talk generically, I mean, not be
Discuss results,
specific about everything there, but talk more like, I think we need more revision on section such and such.
Okay.
We need to introduce another paragraph on page blah, 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 sort of that kind of level.
Yeah.
And then we'd go back and continue our work. So May 2nd, so should we do the afternoon or morning, which is totally up to you. It doesn't matter to me.
It doesn't matter to me. Yeah,
So why don't we do, and I don't know if this is even allowed to meet on a Sunday. Can we have public meetings is this on a Sunday?
I don't know. That's a really good question, Susan.
I'll ask Christy. I'm hoping so, because otherwise Monday is when we need to make final revisions.
Yeah.
Although we could, dedicate all of Monday and just say, okay, we're going to meet, and then one of us will go back and do the final revisions and submit it. It just makes for a very intense day.
Yeah.
So I'll ask Christy if it's allowed to meet on a Sunday, we will, and if it's not, we'll have to cram on Monday. Right?
Yep.
Is there no alternative to that? I think there's not another alternative.
Yeah, I think because of our squishy time, just because of everything that's with the election, whether it's going on or not, just to get it all in. Yeah.
No, I bet you anything, it doesn't come off and we will have done all this cramming for nothing.
Right, exactly. Well, at least, you know what's nice is it frees up the rest of May for us.
Yeah, that's true. We'll be kicking back on the beach somewhere. Okay, so why don't we say May 2nd, 9 to 12.
Sounds good.
And then Monday, the final at the end of that meeting, maybe we should say 9 to 1 just in case.
Yep.
But at the end of that meeting, we should be able to say, okay, we've identified everything that still needs to be done. Hopefully, if one of us needs to draft anything more, then that person can stick it in. But
yeah, so I'll clear out the rest of that day just to keep it open in case there needs to be drafting done.
Extra work.
Yeah, for me personally, I always feel like I do my best work right after we've spoken.
Too. Yeah, everything's fresh. Yeah.
So it's no problem to do that.
But then we should be able to pass it to one of us to say, okay, I'm going to do the last sweep.
Yep.
And put it in. Whoever feels they have the energy, time, and attention to detail at that point, because then it's proofreading. Right. And formatting, that kind of stuff. Formatting will be an important piece. And so that person then has Monday to work on those final revisions and formatting and get the report looking complete. And it may be that they need to send it back to you and say, or it's here on this drive, and please put another pair of eyes on it and just read it through in
Okay,
case
yep,
you pick up anything I left off, that I missed.
yep.
But mostly it will fall to one person to try to complete that stuff. And then May 4th, so May 4th we send it to Christy and she uploads it for school committee review sometime that day before the meeting.
Yeah.
And so we have 2 main meeting dates, which is not a lot. So we'll have to really
Yes,
do our work before each of those meetings to make sure we have as much done as possible.
I agree.
And then the only other thing is administering the
self-evaluation.
yeah.
Hmm.
And so, so I should just say, let's see. So Dorothy Presser will make these changes, but we'll want to look at them when she
Right.
sends us that. So we can probably just do that offline.
Yep.
Unless there is, you can just send me edits or something. I don't think we
Mhm.
need to discuss anything at that point. We just need to,
And then because they're going to be doing it online, should I then make copies of the new,
to put in, no, I don't,
or just when I collect it, we'll put the new ones in and,
my feeling is that we can post the new version to the school
the
committee
docs, yeah.
material and
Yep.
say, print this out, add it to your notebook
okay,
or replace it in your notebook.
Yep.
I don't think we should have to go another round with that. Everybody could do that in one document themselves.
okay, yep.
And then, so then it says here, May 4th is the last school committee meeting before town elections. So May 4th is when we would ask to just make comments about, the self-assessment.
Mm-hmm. Now, when are we going to give them? Is it on here that when we give the self-assessment?
Yeah, I think so. Let's see. They will have completed. No, that's true. Once they've sent in, see, my feeling is that we're going to be so busy with this. I guess we could send it to Christy. She could send it out, the link, once we get the link. Once they're done, they've submitted their evaluations by April. No.
So let's say Dorothy gets back to you and, let's say middle of March, we have it. Would we aim to have them do it at the beginning of April? Would we do it towards the end of
That's what I was just looking. They're focused on the superintendent's evaluation. School committee submits summative evaluation forms April 27th.
Oh, I see.
So
Yep.
I would say we should give them the self-assessment afterwards.
After that,
Usually
yeah.
we like to do it before because it informs, if we're really weak on something, we shouldn't be criticizing the superintendent for that. It might be our issue.
Yeah,
That's the purpose of having these kind of travel in tandem. But because we're doing the evaluation so early, it feels like it would be premature to send out the self-assessment too early.
I see exactly what you're saying. Yeah. Yeah.
So I think maybe this year we might have to send out the self-evaluation after the superintendent's evaluation.
Well, and I think it's a good trial as well, just to see if there's any kind of difference. Like if after the self-evaluation, there are a lot of like, oh, wow, I didn't realize I shouldn't have written him like that.
Then it could at least inform, oh, no, I'm really rethinking this because.
Although I was going to say, if his pay is balancing on how we interpret him.
I mean, it's not likely to be so dramatic, but still, it should inform our discussion if during our summative evaluation discussion, that's on May 4th. But that would mean, no, you know what? This isn't going to work because that would mean that we would have a report written up as well. If it was going to inform the discussion, the results would all be written up and we're not going to get that done.
No. Yeah.
So I would say this year, if we have people complete this before that discussion, it will at least be in their own individual awareness.
Right.
So they submit their superintendent evaluation forms on what I just say, April 27th.
Yep.
So I would say that's a Tuesday.
Mhm.
So I would say that, and then, so
So it's April 20th. Okay.
that week we could send out the self-assessment and ask for it to be submitted by May 4th. 27th, they submit their summative evaluation forms and they're gonna get hit right away with this thing. They're gonna be mad at us. April 27th, Tuesday, May 4th is the following Tuesday. Wow, we're turning this report around in 1 week. So I would say then we need to send out these self-assessments the next day, Wednesday, May 28th.
28th. Yep.
I mean, it's not ideal because there will be potentially some people we're still gonna have to work with to complete that evaluation form because there are errors on the form.
Right. But I mean, in thinking back, this was not after you do the superintendent one, this was not a very time, it didn't take a ton of time to do.
Yeah, but it took longer than I expected.
Yeah, oh, I think maybe it was shorter for me just because I felt like I had to think longer and harder about the superintendent because I was also drawing on a lot of,
Yeah, yeah,
like I was new.
right.
You're right, we do have to change, but I wonder if the idea of having them do it the 28th, that would give us enough time if they realized after doing it, I might have rated him incorrectly.
Yeah,
Can you go back? Can I have my evaluation back? So it provides that opportunity.
yeah, I wouldn't get into that.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
But where I would say that that would come in is in the discussion on May 4th, you might say in the public meeting when we're discussing the evaluation, it's, I had second thoughts about this, I really think the committee
I got
failed on this item and that influences how I think about this.
Okay, I see what you're saying. I like that. That's really good.
So you could raise something there for committee consideration. It's really tight. I mean, the only other option is to say, we're just going to make sure that this is filled out before this election. And we don't want it we're not going to worry about it informing the summative evaluation, but I think that we should. So I think we should say we're going to send it out May 28th, return by
April 28th or May 28th?
Oh, sorry. April.
Yeah.
Oh, this is going to be really tight because Dorothy then has to have time on that Monday I mean, there's not much. You go into SurveyMonkey and send us a report.
Right.
But she has to do that on Monday so we can upload it. Oh no, we don't have to upload anything. She can take her time because we're not writing a report.
Right, so that'll be later.
Individual experience of completing it that we're relying on.
Yeah.
So we just need this back by Tuesday, May 4th then.
Okay.
But, we should say Monday because Tuesday they're going to be reading the evaluation.
Yeah, and that's a good idea too. I also find that Monday is because what ends up happening is usually the day before is when you're like, oh, I have to make sure I have this done. And that gives them a Sunday to look at it too. But you're absolutely right with the May 4th meeting and all that they're going to have to read and go through.
Right. There's a lot there.
Yeah.
Not to mention other school committee materials beside that report. This is not ideal.
No. But we'll get it done. We have capes, Susan. We're superheroes.
Yeah, we can, but I feel like
it's a lot to ask of them. I know what you're saying. Yeah.
But I can't think of any other way to do it.
No, I think we're kind of just stuck with it's almost like it's just the COVID curse. You just have to deal with the situation and get through it. And next year it'll be different.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to send this out while people were working on completing the evaluation.
I agree.
So the only other remaining question that I had on my agenda here was who is going to walk Mike through this whole evaluation process? Do we want to set up a meeting for that? Do you want to do that? Or I can do that. How do you want to handle, making sure that he's really prepared to do the evaluation?
Now, what are you thinking of as far as, you mean going through the questions with him, explaining what they mean, or?
I think the process with, no, not the self-assessment, the superintendent's evaluation.
Superintendent, yeah.
So you remember that, the alignment, part of what he needs to understand that should be evidence-based. He needs to understand the form, the importance of constructive comments to inform the superintendent's progress,
Mhm.
as opposed to just whatever criticisms, let's say.
Yep.
He needs to understand how to sort of flip back and forth between the standards and the form,
Okay.
with that rubric,
Yep.
and how the rubric helps you to understand how to evaluate. Now, he may choose not to do that, but he needs to understand that's what the rubric is there for.
Yep.
And how to do that. And only some of these elements in the rubric are relevant, right? Because we're not evaluating everything in the rubric. So he needs to understand that when a goal says the focal indicator is professional learning and what is this called? Continuous learning of the administrator, that you go to this page and you take a look at the rubric so you get an idea of what it is you're evaluating, and then you think, okay, what evidence do I have around this, and how would I rate him,
Right.
and where do I rate him on the form? So so there's understanding the form itself, and there's understanding what it is you're actually evaluating.
I got you. Yeah.
So we've got the rubric, we've got the objectives, which are inserted, but they're not always in the right places, right, when it's relevant. So for example, when you go to goal 1 on the form,
Mhm.
professional practice goal standard, and there are standards noted there, but the standards aren't there.
Right. You have to go.
So,
Yeah.
if you may say, well, the focal indicator's not important here. What's important is how do you do on the goal? Because this is a goal
Right.
evaluation. But what do these categories mean? Did not meet, some progress, significant progress, met. Hang on.
Right. And then you go to the blue section, correct? Where they tell you what unsatisfactory, needs improvement, proficient are.
Well, those are actually for the standards.
Oh, those are for the standards. Yep, you are correct. Let me see.
But yes, you would do that for the standards section. And I think we noted on everybody's notebook on the standards section, see page 20.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at. Yes, you're right. See page. That's exactly what I was looking at just now. Yep, see page 18. I'm gonna go back.
Like that, we need to walk somebody through. Like, take one for an example.
Yeah.
And do it with them so they see, oh, okay, I see the connection between the blue document and the yellow document.
Right.
For the goals, I think you're just working from your evidence that you've gathered from meetings.
Right. Yes, you are correct. Yes. Yeah.
And so the key there then is to know how to write your comments and provide evidence so that you're backing up your rating decision and you're helping the superintendent to improve.
Right.
And so, we need to just emphasize that stuff, because I think that's a hard thing to understand. The function of your comments is to support your evaluation, but it's also, and often primarily, to inform the superintendent so he can think about how to do his job better.
That's a really good point.
And
yeah.
So I just feel like we need to explain some of this. I don't think it's evident when you just look at the notebook, really. I don't know. But, you did it last year. You can speak to what you needed, what helped you really get a handle on this.
I mean, honestly, it was all the places where you said, go to the rubric, go look here, go look there. And, you know, the notes that I had taken at the meetings, which this year I've taken far better notes because I've been aware of what I need to be aware, you know, what I really need to pay attention to.
Yeah.
Would you be adverse to us having a meeting with him and you're leading it just so that I can write down, like almost take notes to make sure that I have those
Yeah, sure.
steps complete too, because it would help me to make sure that the description that I'm giving is the same, as well as just to have an idea going forward of exactly how I would set it up.
So if we were to do something like that, I would assume we would do it close to when he would actually be working on the evaluation.
Right.
So let's see, they receive.
And then that needs to be a public meeting because there's 3 of us, correct?
Well, that's like, that's the downside, right? I mean, yes, I mean, it doesn't matter. There's no downside to that. It's just it's a training session. So I guess so.
Yeah.
Let me just look at.
I know, it just seems, you're right. The downside is that it just seems unnecessary that it.
No, it's whatever works, right?
Yeah.
It's, and it's also more time for Mike as well. So, but it's training. We've all had the training.
Right.
I mean, we've all worked with Dorothy Presser. We've had time to sit and look at these notebooks before. All of us have put in that time. So
That's
we're
right.
not
I
asking
forgot
anything
about that.
different of him.
Yep.
Superintendent, okay, hang on. Summative evaluation forms are sent April 20th. So we would want to do this. Probably the week before, maybe.
Yes.
And we're having a planning meeting on April 9th. So somewhere between April 9th and 20th, maybe. Yeah, so we'll say between, and we'll see what Mike's availability looks like between April 9 and 19. So 9 is a Tuesday, 19 is a Friday. No, wait, hold it. Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong month. Hang on. April.
Oh, yes, April 9th is a Friday. The 20th is a Tuesday. Is that right?
19th is a Monday.
The 19th is a Monday. Oh, yep, I'm looking at the Tuesday. I'm looking at the 20th.
Yeah, we could go up to the 20th.
Yeah.
So we'll say Tuesday. Are there any days in that period that you are not good for you? So I would guess that we would need, what do you think? Do an hour?
Yeah, I would think an hour. We are trying to possibly go to Florida the 15th through the 20th because the kids have remote school on those 2 days.
Okay.
And my in-laws have a place in Naples, but I do have internet connection. So
no. Vacation is vacation.
But there is a lot of downtime too, so I wouldn't mind. So I would say if we could avoid, honestly, if we could just avoid Friday through Sunday, but even if it was Friday, morning, late afternoon, because my husband is, he's a real estate attorney. He has to sit at his computer for hours because it's all time sensitive. So a lot of times we're hanging around the condo, sitting out, like it's very low key. I'm
going to be your advocate and say that's an absolute last resort. Downtime is meant to be downtime, not to be filled in.
But what's funny though, because this year, normally we go there and we'll go to the Naples Zoo, we'll go here, but I mean, this year it's all COVID, so.
Right.
There's a lot of downtime. It's more just enjoying palm trees and warm weather.
Yeah, with your family.
With my family, you're right, yes.
Playing card games or something,
Yes, actually, that's big on the agenda.
You're leaving on the 15th, so you're going.
So, and it's tentative at this point, Susan. If we leave, it would be the 15th at night. Okay. Like I'm talking like 7 o'clock, so I could do something earlier in the day.
Either. So we'll aim for either somewhere between the 9th and the 14th if we can.
That would be great. Yeah.
And we'll see what Mike's availability. But those days are clear, 9.
Those are clear. Yep. Absolutely.
I'm just looking for a minute.
Except for my appointment on the 9th for the Superintendent Evaluation Committee.
Right. And we also have a school committee meeting on the night of the 13th.
13th. Yep.
Okay. So we'll see. So why don't you set up that meeting with Mike?
Okay, yes,
'Cause
yep.
I'm already having to set up meetings with him for policy. He won't be happy to hear from me. So, so if you could do that one, that would be great. And then just
Absolutely.
let me know. I can just say that Monday is not good between, Monday, the 12th is not
Mhm,
good between, um, say 8:45 and 10:30.
mhm.
And, oh, 14th, 14th is probably not great.
Okay, so let's do between the 9th and the 13th, and
So
we'll
the
see.
13th is fine. I'm just, only other thing is preparing for school committee. And the 9th,
Oh, yeah, he probably won't
oh,
pick
we
that
have
date.
our meeting.
Yep,
That's a planning meeting, right? Yeah,
yes.
12. I do, yeah. So that's the only thing we have to work around. And the weekend is open. So if he
Okay,
may
the
say he
weekend's
doesn't
open
want
for
to
me.
work on a weekend, but
Yeah.
that is an option
He
for
might
us.
need to. I know he's very busy during the week, so I don't, it may end up needing to. We'll just see
Okay.
what he says, and then I'll pass it by you, and we'll see how it works for us, and
I
we'll
don't
go
know if
from
the
there.
evenings are an option for him. Evenings can be an option.
Yes, okay,
Okay. All right. So I'll hear from you on that. Um,
excellent.
Lori will schedule that. And then once I hear from you and I clear it with my calendar, I'll let Christy know and she can do all the notifications. And I'm going to let her know these other meeting dates as well. So I'm going to hold off telling her those next meeting dates.
Until I hear from Mike.
Yeah, and then I'll
Yep,
just
we'll
send
reach
them.
out to him right after this.
All right. We're good.
All right, we got a lot done.
My next step is send this off to make some comments and send it off to Dorothy.
Yep.
And ask her to have this back to us. Wait, when did we say we were going to administer this?
We said the 28th, right?
April 20, oh,
April
oh,
28th.
yeah, yes.
Yep.
Um, So we would need it back from her before then.
Right.
Okay,
Yes.
all right, sounds good. Thank you so
Sure.
much for all your time and thought on this. I
Well,
think it's an
thanks.
improved tool, but we'll see what Dorothy says.
Yeah, I think I
Um,
love it.